Yo, what's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first 2025 mock draft of the year, at least for me. I know a lot of other people have already put out mock draft Mondays, and they've been doing mock drafts basically since the last draft ended. However, this is my first one since my way too early 2025 mock draft, which I posted, I believe, like a day or two after the 2024 draft. So, first one, we're getting close to halfway through the NFL season, by the way, which is insane. We are now 7 weeks through. Kind of sucks to hear that, but, we're using the current draft order and not Super Bowl odds, which I do like. So, if you see your team on here, that is where they're actually slated 7 weeks through. Patriots are at number 1. But before we get into this, please go check out my last video that I posted, I believe, just a couple days ago, actually, which is kind of weird to say. Spokane Shock Team Builder Dynasty. It's done pretty well so far, and I'm glad to see that you guys are liking it. So please keep going, checking that out. Like, subscribe. And yeah, let's get right into it, starting with, like I said, the New England Patriots, who haven't looked that good. I don't think anyone really expected them to look that good. Drake May, however, has looked good. And I think you really need to protect this guy, whether that's Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell. I think Cam Williams, I wasn't as high on him as some other people are. Guys like Bengal are really high on Cam Williams. He kind of got torched in this last game against a really good Georgia defense. I will give you that. Really, really good defense. But he did get torched off the edge multiple times by Walker and Williams, which, by the way, are two phenomenal players. So I can't dog on him too hard. But he definitely played better in the second half. The first half, though, was an absolute disaster for Texas. I'm going to go... I was thinking about Emory Jones, but I think I'm just going to go Will Campbell. Just super consistent, not the most athletic tackle in this class, obviously. Has some shorter arms, so it is a question mark, but I still think he will play at tackle in the NFL. He's just been too dominant to not play at tackle in the NFL, or at least try tackle in the NFL. And you know what? If you don't think he can stick out there, well, I'm pretty sure he could probably end up as an all-pro interior player if you were really worried about him playing at tackle. But get Drake May some help. You can get some weapons down the board in this class. I think wide receiver is going to be one that goes... a position that goes day 2, day 3 a lot more than day 1, like we saw last year, where wide receivers, quarterbacks just flew off the board immediately. I think wide receivers will fall down the board in this one. As we go to the Carolina Panthers, and where do we even start? Bryce Young entered the game yesterday because Andy Dalton looked like garbage. I really hope Bryce Young gets another shot at this. I still believe in Bryce Young. I like the kid. I think he can still be a really good player. I just don't know if the Panthers should go and draft a quarterback in a class that isn't crazy talented at the position, and maybe just go with the best player on the board, which in my opinion is Travis Hunter. You need cornerback help. You traded away Dante Jackson. You could also use receiver help. Adam Thielen is not getting any younger. Deontay Johnson has been good, but he's already, I believe, 27, 28. I like Xavier Legette. He's looked good. Mingo, though, has kind of been hit or miss. And, yeah, I don't think Travis Hunter will play both sides in the NFL. He'll probably have to choose, or the NFL will just choose for him what he will do. But whatever side of the ball he plays, he's going to be a playmaker. The dude is by far the most talented player in this class. He is my number 1 overall prospect at the moment, and I think it's been that way for quite some time, actually, for me. As we go to Cleveland, Ohio, where Deshaun Watson just tore his Achilles and got cheered off the field for being injured. It was an unbelievable scene yesterday. Look, I'm not going to say Deshaun Watson's a good person or a model citizen, quote unquote. I think he is a horrible person, especially all of the things that have been brought up on him. So, I'm not going to say he deserved it, but I definitely wouldn't have cheered for him to get injured. There's just certain things that I just can't do, even if I really don't like you as a human being. But I do think this is a spot where quarterback can go off the board. And you look at this quarterback class, Milroe and Alabama haven't played that well as of recent. Is Shedeur your number one? Do I think he can lead a team? I still don't know. But I do think Shedeur Sanders right now is probably the best pure pocket passer in this class. Next would probably be Nussmeier. So do I go Shedeur here at 3? Go back-to-back Colorado? Because my QB1 right now is probably Cam Ward, like all things considered. But I don't think Cam Ward fits the Cleveland Browns system. I think Shedeur Sanders actually fits what Stefanski wants to run really well, and I think that's what we're going to go. He can run that play-action game for you. He can just sit back in the pocket, scan, go through his progressions, hit the right guy. Shedeur is a very talented player. I know a lot of people to him are very polarizing. He is a very polarizing player, I should say. And the one thing you can't deny is his talent. He is a really good quarterback, actually, and he can use his legs at times when he wants to, but he is a pass-first quarterback. The only thing that I have in question is his leadership at the NFL level. Because his dad has been his coach all throughout college, I don't know, honestly, if he was his coach in high school. He probably was, definitely when he was a kid. Can you be the leader without your dad in the locker room? That's the big question I have. I don't question his talent, maybe a little bit of his arm. He definitely does not have the biggest arm in this class, but he has beautiful touch on deep balls. The one question I do have, though, is leadership. But I don't think that will matter too much when you have a team as talented as the Browns, and you can just go in and basically beat Deshaun Watson out for the job. It will still be hard, though, for the Browns to go quarterback in this spot with Deshaun's contract. At number 4, Tennessee Titans. I really hope they don't go quarterback, and I'm not actually going to go quarterback here. I love the Will Levis generational run right now. It is it is something to just hold on to as we go through this NFL season, because it is a beautiful thing to watch Will Levis give us memes week in and week out. Now, he didn't play this week, and they were in that game with the Bills for a while, actually. A lot longer than I think people thought before the Bills kind of ran off with it. They still need tackle help. I'm going Kelvin Banks Jr., my number 2 tackle in this class. You've built up the offensive line pretty decently the last couple years with Skaronsi and Latham. Get someone across from Latham. Get Kelvin Banks out there. Another really athletic tackle from this class. We're going to go through a couple of them later on in this first round mock draft, but really, really talented player. He didn't get as killed as Cam Williams, but he definitely got beat once or twice in that Georgia game, but he's still just a phenomenal player. He's so, so good, and a big reason on why that Texas offense has been so good outside of this past week. Number 5, the New York Jets. At the start of the season, with all things considered, who had the New York Jets through 7 weeks slotting in at a higher draft pick than the New York Giants? I certainly did not. I mean, they have already fired their head coach. Since then, they have gone 0-2. Aaron Rodgers looks horrible so far. Now, he did not get helped too much last night, especially with that second interception that I'm going to say threw, but it bounced right off of Garrett Wilson's hands, actually chest, really. So he hasn't been helped out the greatest, but it's also his fault because Nathaniel Hackett is his damn OC, and you're running the most archaic goddamn plays of all time. There's no motion in the offense. Like, I am putting about 85% of the blame right now for the New York Jets' downfall on Aaron Rodgers. And, I think Aaron Rodgers is an all-time player for sure. One of the best quarterbacks that we have ever seen, talent-wise. But, dude, you got to let Nathaniel Hackett walk, man. I mean, he is not a good OC. He got carried by LaFleur in Green Bay, and it's shown now twice at Denver and now in New York. I don't know. But the Jets do need to turn it around somehow. I don't think wide receiver is a need for them. I I think you could go somewhere else with that. Your tackles are super old. I think Emory Jones is in play here, and I think that's where I'm going to go. You have Morgan Moses out there right now, and I believe Tyron Smith. You need to get younger at that position. And I know they drafted, what's his face? Fashanu, but he's injured right now. Morgan Moses, I think, is on a 2 or 3 year deal, but you could sit Emory Jones if you really wanted to behind a guy like Morgan Moses, or you could have a little camp battle. It's never bad to get younger at a position that is insanely valuable, like tackle. And I think that's where I'm going to go here for the Jets. Emory Jones Jr., probably outside of Cam Williams, the most athletic tackle in this class. Super long arms, just a anchor on the right side for LSU. And I think he could play on the left side in the NFL, but that is to be determined. Number 6, New Orleans Saints. They have got some issues. I think Cam Jordan's going to end up retiring here pretty soon. And you could put someone either on the outside of the future in Brian Brzee or right next to him. And I think the best defensive player still on the board is Mason Graham by a long shot. And he is a difference maker. He will make life easier for your edge players. He'll make Brian Brezee's life 10 times easier. Brezee's playing really well, by the way. He's got a couple pass deflections, some sacks this year. He's played quite well. But Mason Graham is just levels above anyone that they have on that defense right now. And he will make it easier on the secondary as well. In the secondary, I already really like all the players out there. Obviously, I think it was Alontae Taylor that got injured this past weekend. Or no, it was Paulson Adebo on Thursday night. Prayers out to him. Hopefully he's good. And also Xavier Newman for the Jets. I'm pretty sure I heard that he traveled back, the offensive lineman for the Jets who got put on the stretcher. Pretty sure he got pressured or released from the hospital and traveled back home, with the team. So really good to hear that. Still, thoughts and prayers out to him. Hopefully a speedy recovery and nothing too serious happened with him. But back to the Saints. Mason Graham, as a pass rusher, is phenomenal. He gets pressure up the middle at an unbelievable rate. And interior defensive linemen are actually starting to become very, very valuable, especially ones that can play the pass really well and win in pass rushing sets. Guys like Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, who is like, now that Aiden Hutchinson's out, looking like the defensive player of the year. He has 9 sacks from the defensive tackle position so far. That is unheard of through 7 games. Dexter Lawrence has been phenomenal. And really the only bright spot for the Giants. But again, we're talking about the Saints. Cam Jordan is eventually going to retire, whether it's this year, next year. He could coach up Mason Graham if he stays, and you can have a rotational piece in Cam Jordan maybe, where Brzee and Graham are more of the 3-down players now. Cam Jordan can come and play at that 3-4 end position, and you can rotate those guys all throughout the defensive line. It's pretty sexy, actually, just talking about it. Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow. This one's pretty easy for me. I'm just going right over here to Will Johnson. Y'all need to cover. It's just plain and simple. Trevor Lawrence, I still really like as a player. I know a lot of people in the NFL community are kind of out on him right now. I still really like Trevor Lawrence, though. It's not a great situation in Jacksonville. I think that team is obviously. I don't think they should be 2-5. They just haven't played well this season, and I don't know if that's due to coaching. If Doug Peterson's going to get ousted at some point in the season, he probably will. But I do still think Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 or fringe top 10 as of right now quarterback in the NFL. I just think that highly of him. Basically, is what I'm trying to get at. I still think he's a really talented quarterback. Number 8, Las Vegas Raiders. It's got to be quarterback. Milroe or Cam Ward here for me, I think are your 2 best fits, but you also really don't have the weapons, so it's kind of hard. I mean, I also think Drew Aller is in play here. I know he's ranked at 107, but he's played very well. He's been very underrated so far through this season. He's fixed his accuracy, so I think he's in this conversation. I think Jalen Milroe is falling down boards. I'm going to go with the hot hand and Cam Ward here to the Raiders. Feels like a Raiders-type player, flashy, nonchalant. He's just a fun player to watch, dude. Improvisation, he is the guy. If you're looking for a quarterback that can improv, just in the pocket, he moves around so well, makes plays outside of the pocket, scrambling around back there, waiting for his guys to get open, always has his eyes downfield. He's one of the guys in this class that you can for sure 100% say his eyes never leave the secondary. He is always looking downfield for his guys. Where can he find an open receiver and his playmakers for them to go make plays? If he can't, he will then take off. Sometimes that does get him in trouble, though, because he stands around there a bit too long, and he can just go and use his athletic ability to pick up a first down or a big gain. So that part of his game can still be a little bit refined. And the only other thing that hasn't showed up a ton this year that is, I think, still a problem is fumbling. It's not like when he gets hit on a sack, time in, time out, he's fumbling the ball. He carries the ball around like he's Deion Sanders, kind of just loose out with one hand. He needs to tuck it a little bit better. He needs to learn from Joe Burrow when he's in the pocket. Two hands on the ball at all time. He's done better with it for sure this year, but he's still had a few crucial fumbles that almost cost them games. You think of Virginia Tech. I don't think he had one against Cal, but he has still had them. And that's the one thing you probably want to worry about because NFL edge rushers and pass rushers, defensive coordinators, they're going to be looking for that and going and attacking that ball on a consistent basis. So something you got to just work on the offseason. Cam Ward's still a really good player. Obviously, go Cougs, now with Miami, and he's looked so good. Number 9. Oh, boy. New York Giants. Let's just get right into it. They suck. Daniel Jones is horrible. I really hope that he is gone after this year. I am so sick of seeing that dude in a Giants uniform. I'm sorry. I don't think he can handle the New York pressure, for one. He also just does not play with confidence at all. The only time he really has confidence is when he is running. Passing, he looks lost. He stares down receivers. It's just unbelievably annoying to watch for a guy who's in year 6 playing the quarterback position in the NFL. He's a backup quarterback. A high-end backup quarterback. That's what he is. It's got to be quarterback here. If anyone saw the last press conference with Brian Dable, he just looked unbelievably distraught talking about his quarterback and Daniel Jones' play. Like, Dable is done with this guy. And if it wasn't for ownership, probably, I think Drew Lock would be the starter going into next week. Or if Drew Lock just wasn't a bad NFL quarterback as well. So, is it Milroe? Maybe. I do think it's a high possibility that it could be with his athletic upside. He's got a big arm. Accuracy is definitely a question mark. Throwing over the middle is a big question mark right now. And for that reason, this might be a surprise. I really like Jalen Milroe, but I'm going with the hot hand and recent history. Drew Aller out of Penn State. I talked about him a little bit when we were talking about Shedeur and Cam Ward. The dude has been 10 times better this year than he was last year. Now, athletically, he's been a first-round type prospect. 6'5", 235. He can move and scramble out of the pocket. Just unbelievable athleticism and talent. But you look at 2023 and 22, what do you notice? It's the completion percentage. This year, though, up 11% to 70% completion percentage for Drew Aller. That is a monumental jump and one that needed to happen if he was going to actually put himself in the running to be a first-round quarterback, and he's done so through 6 games. And he has led that team to a 6-0 record. I believe they're number 3 right now in college football rankings behind Georgia and Oregon. And he's playing so well. Obviously, Tyler Warren, who we'll probably get to as well, has been a phenomenal receiving option for him. He's got a good offense around him. But he's also just made the right play. He hasn't forced it a lot this year like he has in the past as well. It looks like he's matured as a leader of that locker room. Drew Aller, number 9. And you're going to hear a lot of comps to Josh Allen, and that's why I'm going with Drew Aller here, is because of those Josh Allen comps and who the Giants head coach is in Brian Daboll, and of course their GM in Joe Schoen, who both came from Buffalo when they drafted Josh Allen. So just keep this name in mind, all right? Big name in college football, and I think he'll be a big name as we get closer to the draft if he continues to play like this. Number 10, Miami Dolphins. Dude, you got to protect Tua or whoever's back there. And I think this is where I'm going to go Cam Williams. I do think he can still he'll play out the rest of the season. I think he'll be fine. He's still a really good player. Him and Emory Jones kind of 1-2 for most athletic tackles, in my opinion. Cam Williams, I think most people will project to play on the left side, even though he's on the right side right now with Kelvin Banks on the left, Really good player, long arms, prototypical NFL size for the tackle position, 6'5", 335. Really, really good. And I would love to see his grade, actually, for that Georgia game. But he has given up a sack, and he definitely got beat a couple other times in that game. Maybe not ended up in sacks, but he did get beat by Walker and Williams on multiple occasions in the first half, I should clarify, because second half they looked a lot better. Number 11, LA Rams. They need help everywhere. I would go O-line here, but I don't know if I want to take Ursary this early. Sava Naya, I think, will translate to a guard better than a tackle. Do you go that high on a guard at 11? I don't know, because he's not like a Peter Skoronski. Tedero McMillan, the receivers has fallen. I think this could be corner. Benjamin Morrison, Takario Davis, wherever Takario Davis is. Did I already pass him? Wait, what? How far down is Takario Davis? 73, wow. I really like Takario Davis. I mean, the first thing you notice is the size, 6'4", 190. It's just unheard of for the cornerback position. I do think if Benjamin Morrison didn't get injured, he would far and away be the number 2 corner. Same with Siobhan Revel out of East Carolina. If he didn't get injured in practice, which is unbelievably unfortunate, he would be in consideration for number 2 corner. But right now it's really between these three, and maybe if you really like Quincy Riley, which I do, or a Jabbar Muhammad, Kobe Bryant, like some of these guys down the board, I don't know if they'd exactly be for number 2 corner, but definitely in consideration in the top 2 rounds because of other guys getting injured. I think I'm still going to go Benjamin Morrison, though. He's just so good that I can't pass up on him. I love Takario Davis' size, but Morrison's production, along with his size, he's still good size at 6 foot, and he can play really, really well on the outside. Physical corner, long arms, good acceleration, and, what is it? What was I going to say? Like tracking speed, basically, or the ability to get back into the play because of his athleticism and length. So, although, did he come back? I thought he got injured. Okay, maybe he is playing. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Don't take anything I just said, basically. But Benjamin Morrison, really, really good corner here at number 11 to the Rams, who desperately need secondary help. At number 12, the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, my goodness. They need more interior depth, and I'm going Deontay Walker. Just athletic freak for, I think he's 6'6", 350. Unbelievable size. Unbelievably athletic as well. Powerful as all hell, and a big reason why the Kentucky defense has been very, very good so far. And they have shut down some pretty decent offenses as well. You think of that Georgia game that they almost won. A big part of it is Deontay Walker up the middle. They have to focus so many guys to double team him, maybe sometimes even triple team him, so he does not become the game wrecker that he can be. And that is what the Cardinals need on the inside. They've got some nice edge pieces. Darius Robinson coming back, the first-round draft pick out of Mizzou last year. You have B.J. Ojolari as well, who I like. If you really want to go into their depth chart, Dennis Gardeck, I think Dennis Gardeck is his name. He's been a fine player for them, and Jonathan Gannon on the defensive side. So they just need that guy in the middle to really bring that defense and defensive line all together. They still need some secondary help, of course, but he would be a game wrecker up the middle for the Cardinals. At number 13, Cincinnati Bengals. They are an interesting team. Haven't looked well, but I think most of us in the NFL community kind of feel like they're better than their record. And I think they are going to lose T. Higgins. So I'm just going to go with the play of get T. Higgins' replacement. Teteroa McMillan in the same offense as Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. That seems completely unfair, but it is so possible that T. Higgins leaves and gets his contract that he's been looking for now for the past 2 or 3 years, and he's still playing really well. So you go out and get a guy who's also 6'4", 6'5", can be a jump ball guy, but he's also a really, really good route runner for his size, which is ridiculous to say, but he is a very, very good route runner, creates a lot of separation, and has a lot of run after the catch ability as well, something that T. Higgins doesn't really have. He's more of that jump ball contested type receiver. McMillan could definitely be that, but he can also be a separator at the highest level. Number 14, San Francisco 49ers, another team that's just weirdly sitting here at 3-4, a team that most people I think at this point would be 5-2, and I think they should be. They have blown leads late in games. The Cardinals game you think of, the Rams was really bad. It's just been an interesting NFL season. Let's just put it that way. I mean, Sam Darnold's up for goddamn MVP, so. But San Francisco 49ers, they need secondary help. They need, I think, offensive line help. And this, I believe, is where I'm going to go. Ariante Ursary. You need someone either for the future to replace Trent Williams or just to be on the other side. Colton McKivitz, yeah, he's fine, but he does get beat at a consistent level almost every game. He's, an average NFL tackle, but someone who does let up a good amount of pressure and sacks, I think, each year. And to protect Brock Purdy a little bit more, give him a little bit more time in that offense that he hasn't really had this season, actually, which is also kind of weird. But that could obviously be contributed more to not having Christian McCaffrey than the offensive line, but I think that you could definitely upgrade from McKivitz to Ursary here, and that's what I went with. Number 15, Dallas Cowboys. Where do we start? You want to go interior D-line? You want to go edge? You want to go linebacker? You want to go secondary? Receiver? I mean, receiver I think is the most glaring need. I love Luther Burden, but CeeDee Lamb kind of already plays that Luther Burden type role. So I think here I'm going to go, although I was about to go Emeka Egbuka, but I think he plays on the inside a little bit too much as well. You know what? I'm going to go Kyron Lacy here. He can be that route runner and separator for you. He had a huge week 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss. Him and Nussmeier connected multiple times in that game. They just don't have a receiver like Kyron Lacy. 6'2", 215, can beat you deep. He can beat you underneath as well with some yak, get those yards after the catch, and he doesn't play in the slot that much. CD plays in the slot. They need that outside receiver that can go win for Dak, and I think that's Kyron Lacy. I would love Luther Burden, but he's kind of that same CeeDee Lamb type player, like I said, who plays a lot in the slot. Can play on the outside, I think. I think Kyron Lacy would be a better fit here for the Cowboys. As we go to number 16, the Bo Nix and Sean Payton-led Denver Broncos. That defense, by the way, has looked so good. I think they could use some more receiving help. Like I just said, I am a huge Luther Burden fan. I love Marvin Mims, but he does not get utilized that much in this offense. I think Luther Burden is perfect for the offense in a sense that he can separate and he can run after the catch. And Bo Nix needs a player like that, a go-to guy. Like I said, I don't think a comp would be CeeDee Lamb, but he does play like a CeeDee Lamb as in the fact of where he lines up. He lines up in the slot more often than not, but he also separates at an elite level. And here you go, 168 to 21. I think he can play on the outside, but he is going to be in the slot more often than not. And I think Luther Burden is a phenomenal player. A guy that some people have falling out of the first round. I don't think he falls out of the first round. I think he is a unreal talent. Really good catch. He doesn't drop a lot of passes. So Luther Burden here at 16 for the Broncos. Difference maker on the offensive side that they do not have. As we go to 17 for the Atlanta Falcons. Anywhere on the defensive line? I mean, you have your choice at edge. Why not go get it? Nick Scorton, Abdul Carter, Mikael Williams, who just had a big week. James Pierce has looked pretty damn good as of recent. He's really picked it up. That Alabama game, he was a difference. And now, some people might say he was offsides, and I might agree on that one. But I believe he has 4 sacks in the last 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, whatever it is. So he's coming back to life. And I'm going to go James Pierce because he has the athleticism, the explosiveness, the length, the twitchiness that you want off the edge. A guy that is just pure athletic build at 6'5", like 250. It's unreal the way that he moves, and I think there's still a very good chance that he is the first edge off the board. Now, it could be Abdul Carter, could be Nick Scorton. They've both had really good years so far, but James Pierce is just different, man. His explosiveness off the line and his bend are just different than some of these other guys. The Falcons just need that. They do not have that guy that can go win time after time on the edge. At number 18, Philadelphia Eagles. Defense needs help. Nolan Smith, and Jalen Carter definitely are the 2 best on that team right now. Josh Sweat obviously is still a good player off the edge. Howie Roseman loves to go with his trenches in the first round. I don't think they would ever go linebacker in the first round, at least like a Mike or a Will linebacker. I think you could go safety and replace CD Deuce or, CJ Gardner-Johnson, whatever you want to call him. He's just not very good, I think, at least anymore. Maybe he was good at some point in his career, but he's just, I don't know. He's not a Malachi Starks, who since he was a true freshman has just been making plays for this Georgia defense. The Eagles seem to love Georgia secondary, Georgia defensive players in general, and I can't blame them. And Malachi Starks, first safety off the board. I think probably the only safety that goes in the first round, just because his athleticism, his ball hawking ability is just next level. Just so far ahead of the rest of this safety class in this draft class. Number 19, Seattle Seahawks. I almost want to go Kenneth Grant, but you could go edge as well or safety if Malachi Starks didn't go there. This could be a safety spot. I still like their secondary. They're just so young. I think you keep that core together a little bit longer. So I think I'm going to look edge here. I really like Boye Mafe, Nwosu, but maybe getting a guy like Abdul Carter, who's just a difference maker, someone who has the athleticism that no other edge rusher on Seattle has. Abdul Carter, you can line up all over the field. I mean, you've seen it at Penn State. They've lined him up at the will linebacker spot, edge. I think he's taken some interior snaps as well. Yeah, 35% or 35 snaps, at off ball. He played 494 at off ball linebacker in 2023 and now is on the edge. So, and he's played 1 snap over the B gap. I think I'm thinking of that Illinois game, but at the same time, man, he's just a difference maker. His athleticism, his explosiveness. I know it's probably sounding similar to James Pierce, but their athletic abilities are somewhat similar in the fact that they are just raw athletes, to say the least. At number 20, Indianapolis Colts. They need some secondary help badly. This could also be your first tight end off the board if you want to get Anthony Richardson, kind of that safety blanket. These two, Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, and then Mason Taylor are I guess Gunnar Helm could be a first round. There's a lot of good tight ends in this class. I just think a bigger need is corner. Go get your guy. in the first round, and I think I'm going to go to Takario Davis. Just feels kind of like a Chris Ballard type pick. Athleticism, like freak athleticism for his size at the position. Takario Davis out of Arizona, great length. I already talked about him, has unbelievable height for the position, like 99th percentile type height. Yeah, just feels like a Chris Ballard pick. Los Angeles Chargers, could you imagine Ashton Jeanty in this offense? Like, actually, in a Jim Harbaugh offense, Ashton Jeanty. Like, I'm damn near talking myself into this right now because I think it would be so fun. He feels like that Frank Gore type player for Harbaugh. And with that being said, we're going to go Ashton Jeanty here. I was thinking Kenneth Grant originally, or Colston Loveland, two Michigan guys that he could work with again in the pros. But Ashton Jeanty, I think, is going in the first round, and it might even be higher than this. Unbelievable contact balance, or yards after contact, I should say. Unbelievable video game numbers, and he looks like Mike Myers in the backfield. So you got Mike Myers on a Jim Harbaugh team. They're ready to kill on every single play. At number 22, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could use secondary or edge help as well. I think Denzel Burke is in play. We'll see what Siobhan Revell looks like post, probably 5 months, 6 months after surgery. We'll see if he's at the Senior Bowl or Combine and how he feels. Actually, I think he's a junior. Oh, no, he is a senior. So he could be at the Senior Bowl talking with teams about how rehab has gone. So he's kind of a wait-and-see type player. So I think for me, Denzel Burke would probably be the number one corner, but I don't think he's better than a guy like a Nick Scorton or a Mykal Williams. So I think I'm going to go Nick Scorton here. Just power rusher. Also has some speed factor to him. When he uses that speed to power, runs you over. Really talented player. Transfer from Purdue, I believe, last year to Texas A&M, and has given that Texas A&M defense an absolute spark. They are playing so well, and it is behind this dude. Even though he only has 3 sacks, they have to focus so much attention on him that it creates other opportunities for other players. 6'4", 285. Unreal size as well. At number 23, Chicago Bears. I think this could be Kenneth Grant, even though Gervon Dexter has played somewhat well. Zach Pickens has been a little bit underwhelming. Kenneth Grant is kind of like, I'm feeling that pick right now. Do I want to go with it? I think you could also think about Jonah Savainia, if that's how you say his name. Look at interior O-line. Maybe a Tyler Booker. I just think Jonah S. is what I'm going to call him now. Has a little bit more of an athletic upside. So I think that's where I'm going to go. Although, I think you got to protect Caleb Williams. I think you can get some good depth pieces on your the interior of your defensive line later on in the draft. Dante Corleone, Tyleek Williams will fall probably to the second round. Howard Cross is a good player. Bear Alexander, Walter Nolan. So there are some guys on the interior down the board that you could get and help fill out the defensive line for the Bears. So we are going to go Jonah Savainia, tackle out of Arizona, but I think projects better at guard. 24. The Ravens need some offensive line help as well. Are you comfortable taking any of these guys in the first round? Maybe Josh Simmons? Or do you just go in the trenches with best player on the board and get someone next to Nnamdi Madubuike? Because that sounds pretty scary, and I think that's just what we're going to do. Kenneth Grant's a really, really good player, man. Falls here to 24 because the defensive talent in this class is just 10 times, 20 times better than last year. Like, if you need a defensive player, you are going to get a top 10 talent probably throughout the first round, and I think that's what Kenneth Grant is. He can be a top 10 talent with his athleticism and upside. Falls here to 24 because There are guys like Nick Scorton, Takario Davis, Abdul Carter, Malachi Starks, James Pierce, his teammate, Mason Graham, who's going to go really early. So Kenneth Grant here at 24, really, really good player. Does he benefit off of Mason Graham? For sure. But he is also a wrecking ball himself. At number 25, Buffalo Bills. I think this is where I'm going to go Denzel Burke. Now, I love Siobhan Ravel, but like I said, he is injured, and we'll have to kind of wait and see on him. So Denzel Burke, really, really damn good player. He's got good length. Physicality is a question, I think. At 6'1", 193, he's definitely not the biggest guy in the world, but I do like his length at the position. And playing on the outside a lot, he matched up with Evan Stewart in that Oregon game. Evan Stewart got him for sure a couple times, but Evan Stewart got everyone that game. But Denzel Burke, I think, is still a really, really good talent and worthy of a first-round pick in this cornerback class. Number 26, the Washington Commanders, who are 5-2. Jaden Daniels did get injured. Do you have anyone who really you are like, yeah, we really want this guy in the first round to help protect him? Maybe Josh Simmons. He kind of got torched, though, in the Oregon game. Good size, good length. He has played at left tackle the last 2 seasons, though. I think you could take a Josh Simmons here. Wyatt Milam, pretty good as well. Maybe Wyatt Milam here, or Milam, out of West Virginia. Has played left tackle the last 3 years. I think that's where we're going to go. They need to protect Jaden Daniels at all costs. We saw it this week. It finally happened where he's just taken too much of a beating, and the ribs finally popped on him. They're not broken. It is a week-to-week thing, is what Dan Quinn said. But you got to protect that guy because he is electric when he's on the field. He's got to protect himself a lot better, too. It's not all the offensive line's fault. But Wyatt Milam, West Virginia, known to kind of have those, nasty offensive linemen. You think of Zach Frazier last year, who got picked up by the Steelers, actually, who we'll get to here in a second. And just really, really good center for West Virginia. Now Wyatt Milam, the senior tackle, I believe 6'6", 320. Good length, good size. Maybe not crazy athletic like an Emory Jones or a Cam Williams, but definitely still has some athletics upside to him. And goes 26 here to Washington and stays in that DMV type area. 27, Pittsburgh Steelers. Jalen Milroe has fallen all the way here. Are you convinced with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? I don't think so. I think Jalen Milroe is still a first-round quarterback. He's going to go 27 here easily to the Pittsburgh Steelers and hopefully be the future quarterback for the Steelers, and they don't have to, trade him after 2 years like they did Kenny Pickett and go through the whole cycle again. Jalen Milroe, we highlighted at the top, deep passing and arm strength, top of the class. No doubt about it. Athleticism for the quarterback position, maybe not even the quarterback position, just athleticism overall, top of the class. But throwing over the middle of the field, going through his progressions is still a big question mark for myself and for a lot of the NFL community, I feel like, and that's why he falls here to 27. But his upside is unbelievable if you can get the most out of him. At number 28, we've got the Green Bay Packers. I think cornerback is in question here. Do you like Jahdae Barron that much? Quincy Riley even? Jabbar Muhammad? I don't know. You could also go a guy like LT Overton or Mykel Williams to eventually replace Preston Smith. And I kind of like Mykel Williams, actually. They've drafted some Georgia players in the past. Devontae Wyatt is the interior defensive end or interior defensive lineman. And then, super athletic linebacker. Why can't I think of it? I don't know. I'm blanking right now. But I think Mykel Williams across from Rashawn Gary just brings a different aspect to that defensive line. You have a lot of power across the board with Wyatt, why can I not think of any Packers player right now? Lucas Van Ness. Jesus, there we go. Rashawn Gary, obviously, of course. They have power across the line. Micah Williams brings athleticism, burst, explosiveness off the other edge. Just a ton of speed and athleticism that the Packers don't really have at that position. So that's where I go with, or for the Packers at 28. 29, the Houston Texans. I think this could be running back in a very stacked running back class. This could also be interior offensive line or defensive interior. I think Corleone or Tyreek Williams, pick your poison if that's the way you want to go. You can also go Quinshawn Judkins or Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Jaden Ott. Like, there is so many good running backs in this class. It is actually ridiculous. I think Judkins is kind of the sexy pick. You could go receiver. I don't know if they're going to re-sign Stephon Diggs after this season. Could just keep stacking the edge. Neil Hunter is not going to be there forever. LT Overton, Will Anderson's former teammate from a couple years ago. I think even Princely Uman Mielen could be in play here. JT Tuimoloau, Ashton Gelati, or Gelati. There are some players here. Maybe we just go sexy pick and go Quinshawn Judkins. I think he is running back 2 in this class. Obviously, it's a hot debate for running back 2, but really, really explosive player out of the backfield. Joe Mixon is not going to get any younger. He also has injury history. He has off-the-field history. Get a guy in with clean slate. 21 years old, I believe. Maybe 22. He might actually be a senior. No, he's a junior. Transfer from Ole Miss. Just a phenomenal player. He really is. And he can be a difference maker. He can obviously break tackles, force missed tackles. He can do it all. And he's only 21 years old. Joe Mixon's like 30 now. So get younger at that position and a little more explosive with Quinshawn Judkins. At number 30, this could also be running back, but I'm looking more at the secondary, and I'm going to keep Siobhan Ravel in the first round. I think he has the talent, athleticism, length, size for the position to play at the NFL level and be a first-round talent. It's just really unfortunate. He got injured in damn practice, man. It just sucks. For the future, though, like, Vikings need cornerback help. Yeah, you have Byron Murphy. Stephon Gilmore, though, is on a 1-year deal, I believe. You need to get younger, more talented at that position. Ravel brings that, and aggressive type player that Brian Flores would love to work with. At number 31, I'm going edge here. You need someone across from Aiden Hutchinson, who unfortunately got injured this past week. I kind of want to go Ashton Gelati. You can play him so many different spots. 6'3", 275. Who is just that type of player? Maybe a Jack Sawyer. Feels like a Detroit Lion type player. Who's just got the most grit here off the edge. You know what? It's still early. I'm going to go Ashton Gelati and just kind of highlight him because I really like his game. He can go speed to power. He can beat you around the edge. Like I said and like we saw, you can line him up all over the defensive line, and that's what Louisville has done to create opportunities not only for him, but for other people across that defensive line for the Louisville Cardinals. And, I mean, the main point here is just get someone across from Aiden Hutchinson because they are missing that dearly right now with him being out the rest of the season. Number 32, final pick of this first-round mock draft. Where do the Kansas City Chiefs go? I don't think running back is a need. Tight end could definitely be a need. I don't believe, have picked a tight end in this draft. Do you go and get Travis Kelce's replacement? Maybe. Maybe you go Josh Simmons. I don't really know. Where do I want to go with this pick? Could go another Texas receiver. Pair Isaiah Bond up with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. I don't really know where I want to go with this pick. It's kind of a weird one. Like, yeah, they could use offensive line help, but Josh Simmons probably best offensive tackle you can go. Maybe Ajani Cornelius. Blake Miller has been good for sure as well. Not to just skip over him. man, I don't think they need safety help. They're pretty stacked there. You saw Jaden Hicks, who they drafted this past year, go Cougs, baby. Get his first pick. I mean, I still think that secondary isn't the most talented. Do I like Quincy Riley, Jabbar Muhammad, Dorian Strong, or Barron in the first round? I don't think so. You know what? I talked about this guy a little bit earlier, Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Could you imagine with what Andy Reid would do with this guy? Former quarterback, super athletic. I mean, snapped the damn ball and caught a touchdown pass. What he could do, what Andy Reid could do with Tyler Warren and Travis Kelce on the same field, that's where we're going to go. Just versatile, unbelievably athletic for the position. I think he's like 6'6", 270 or something, is Tyler Warren. So, unbelievable player. I don't think that only one tight end is going to be picked when it's all said and done in the first round. I think Colston Loveland is a first-round talent. But we definitely highlighted some other players, like a Kyron Lacey, like a Wyatt Milam. So, it happens. Positions are going to fall. Tight end has been one that has recently fall when you think back on past drafts, outside of, Brock Bowers, of course, who's just an unbelievable talent at the position. But Tyler Warren is too, and so is Colston Loveland. Those two guys are worthy of first-round picks, I think. Tyler Warren is just a difference maker. He is the definition of a playmaker, and I think Andy Reid would love to have that on his offense. So that will do it for this one. First mock draft of the year, and it's a doozy, might I add. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. Let me know who you want your team to pick in this upcoming draft, or what position of need you think your team has down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, and peace.